Hey guys, Dirt here. I'm back doing Formers Friday again just for one more week, and we'll have more news on that at the end of the episode. I'm going to make you wait for the big news. But today we're going to be taking a look at the tiniest members of the Titans Return, and that's these new... They're Headmasters is basically what they are, even though they don't call them that. I'm not sure why. But we've got Brawn, Skytread, Apeface, and Clobber. And Clobber actually has an interesting little bit of extra information to him, but we'll get to that in a minute. But for now, let's throw these little guys into the tent and see how they look. Now, all of these guys are basically triple changers. They have some sort of form that incorporates the tiny little robot, the Headmaster type thing. And then there's a form where you take that out, and it can be that way without the little guy in there. And then there's a way to turn them into a weapon that can be held in the hand of one of the characters. So we're going to go through these. We're going to switch them out, take a look at them, and then we're going to see how they work as heads. We've got an Optimus Prime here, and also as weapons in his hand. So first, I want to start with Brawn, because he was always one of my favorite characters back in the old days. And Brawn, you can see here, he's some sort of treaded tank, is what they call him. He's got these weird triangular type treads on there, and you can see right here is your little robot headmaster guy. And this form is a little funky because these panels here swivel out. So you've got these big bolt-like things in the front and the back, and that's part of the transformation into the weapon. But overall, you know, as a little vehicle thing, I think overall it looks fine. You know, turn on the bottom, you can see there's the head from the Headmaster part of him. But for the most part, you know, it is kind of funky looking because of the way the shapes turn out. So it can transform into the other modes. That's something that you see in a lot of Transformers. But really, for the most part, I think this looks pretty good. Now, here's his alternate vehicle mode. It's some sort of little flying motorcycle type thing. And you're basically just turning it over. You're flipping the treads around so they become like these little guns, exhaust port, whatever things. And then the Brawn guy, the little character that comes with him, he can actually sit in it like he's riding a motorcycle. And actually, it doesn't look too terrible. One of the things that's kind of neat about it is that the feet actually peg into the bottom here to hold him in place so that you don't lose him. He's pretty secure in there. The only problem is it's pretty tough to push him down in there. The opening for the feet is about the same size as the feet themselves, which is very tight to hold it in place. But like I said, it makes it almost impossible to push him in there, and it kind of feels like I might break the pegs if I tried to get it flush, so I don't want to do that. Now, of course, because he's a headmaster, he's got this giant upside-down face on the back, but, whatever, that's fine. So here you can see we have two little, nubs, as if they're, exhaust pipes on the back, and, again, these bolt things, when this was the other way as the Jeep, these kind of stuck out in the back, kind of weird. Now that we're flipping him over, they again just look kind of awkward sitting there. And then there's the little handle for when he becomes the gun in his final third mode. So why don't we go ahead and flip him into that third mode, his weapon mode, and take a look. Alright, now his weapon mode here really is a simple variation on the tank tread version of him. You're basically just flipping out the front to get those guns out and then pulling down the handle. Now the one nice thing is that he actually snaps into place. You can see there's the head there. He actually snaps into place, and so he's securely fastened in there, whether he's going to be in the tank mode or if he's going to be in the gun mode. And so you don't have to worry about losing him or finding another spot. He can actually be used by any Transformer with the right-sized hand that can hold on to it. So he's securely in there, and his little peg here on the back of his feet that holds him into place in some other applications and modes actually works as kind of like a crosshairs aiming type device. So weird thing, the gun has the treads on it, but then that's something that you see a lot in Transformers, just those little bits of kibble or whatever. The weirdest part, though, in gun mode, his icon, his emblem, it's upside down. There's no way around that, because in the motorcycle mode, he's this way. When he becomes the gun, he's this way. So you do have that weird thing of having his, emblem being upside down. Whether or not that's going to drive you crazy when he's in some sort of, display mode that you're showing him off on your shelf, that's going to be up to you. But, it's really not that big of a deal, but I kind of wish there was some other way that they had to display that. But all in all, doesn't actually look that bad as a gun. Now, since it does have this Headmaster mode, it just only makes sense to try it out as a head. And you can see that it actually fits on there. It's no big deal to pop it in and out exactly where it should go. And the way that these are made is that the helmet, the actual face, battle helmet, whatever you want to call it, of Optimus Prime flips into place. So all you really see through those eye holes are the eyes of the head underneath. So you could totally take one of these other heads, just throw it on one of these characters like Blaster or Optimus Prime, and you're never really going to know that it's a different one under there unless you open it up. So if you want to take the one that comes with Prime out and use it in some way, you can just toss one of these other ones in there. And then again, you can use it in weapon mode, throw it in his hand, and you've got it taken care of. Alright, so this is Clobber. Now, you may look at Clobber and say, hey, that looks a lot like a Grimlock. Well, the thing is, it is a Grimlock. They've actually said that this is Grimlock. They just gave it a different name for some reason. No one's quite sure why. Perhaps it has something to do with the Robots in Disguise cartoon. I don't know. But you can see here the feet of our Headmaster is actually the bottom of the jaw, and the hands are sticking out through this rib cage thing in order to make arms on him. And you've got this weird piece of kibble. That's actually the handle from when it's in weapon mode. Here it makes some sort of rocket launcher, something like that. The only crazy thing here is that because he has an alternate mode with another head, there's a head on the end of his tail. It's not that noticeable when you have it in, some sort of three-quarters pose like this. But, I mean, it is just kind of weird that, oh, look, he's got an upside-down dragon head sticking out of his butt. So here's his other alternate mode, his other beast mode, his rider mode, I guess you could say. And you can see we've got the little Headmaster guy sitting on his back, and his rib cage thing becomes these wings. So it's a completely different application of what they were before. Now they're supposed to be light and help him fly. I'm not exactly sure how the science works on that, but hey, it's a kid's toy, right? You can let it go. Now again, the tail back here is your dinosaur head from the other way. It's just flipped now so that it's back like there. So it's a weird tail. It doesn't really look that good as a tail, but again, there are small holes for pegging the feet in to hold them in place, so you're not gonna lose your guy while you're flipping around playing with it. And in general, I think it looks okay, but I gotta say I don't particularly care for this version a whole lot. Now, this has got to be his weakest form overall. If you look at it, you go, oh, it looks like it's just the dinosaur laying on his back. And that's pretty much all it is. You fold the tail under and you pop out his little handle. You lock the legs into place, and now that's a gun. So you're basically, I guess, shooting dinosaur poop at somebody, and that's enough to do some damage. And I gotta admit, if I was probably hit by fresh robotic dinosaur poop, that would be the end of me as well. But in general, this is just kind of the worst looking, lamest version, I think, of pretty much all of them. This just does not work at all. And now we've decapitated Grimlock. You can see, as I said, this is Grimlock, just for whatever reason they're calling him Clobber this time around. But that's his face, and you can see that is very much the face of Grimlock. So I don't know if that means we're going to be getting some sort of Grimlock that this plugs into. You can only hope. That would be pretty cool. But nonetheless, there it is. That's his face. Okay, so here's Skytread, and this is his jet mode. And some of you may be wondering why I'm starting out in this mode, where you can see, obviously, the kibble here from the tank treads makes it clear that this is not supposed to be his main mode. But I'm starting off with this because here you can see how the Headmaster guy plugs into place here. This is the way to fold him away and kind of forget that he's there, just make him part of the machine. So overall, yeah, again, not my favorite version of how you're going to transform him, but I guess it works. I mean, you know, when you're a little kid, if something folds out, they count as wings, and you're going to pretend like it flies. So I guess in that sense, it works, but overall, it's just really kind of janky. Okay, so here's the alternate mode. Excuse me. Let's start over. Okay, so here's his alternate mode, his tank mode, his rider mode. And again, the feet of your guy, there's actually little cutouts here, so you can see when you're putting them in, there are little pegs. You can peg the feet in there. So again, you're not going to lose your little fella here while he's riding on it. And this mode, to me, actually works pretty well. This is actually a pretty cool... I mean, it looks like a tank. It's got a lot of tank details. It's got the little guns moving around, and he can sit on the back and take it into battle. So overall, I think that this mode actually looks pretty nice. This is the way I generally have had it displayed for the last few days, and I think I like this version the best. So here's the weapon mode. You may notice that the weapon mode looks a lot like the jet mode from earlier. That's because it basically is the same thing. In order to transform from one to the other, you flip out the wings to make them into jet mode and put away the handle. But if you flip the handle out and push up the treads, oh, well then now he's supposed to be a gun. Now I guess it works because there are gun turrets on the bottom, but I don't know why this thing is out. It seems to me like there should be some other alternate way they could have done it in order to make these guns the focus, some way to, you know, push them forward and have the handle stick out the bottom, but that's not what they decided to do, and so that's what you're stuck with if you want to try to use that gun mode. And there's your head, and for the most part it looks all right. It does have that kind of classic G1 head style, big and bulky. It's just, you know, got a kind of random classic look to it. And overall, I have to say I like this head. I don't know exactly where I would use it. I mean, it doesn't fit on Blaster or Optimus Prime, but I like the general look of it, so if something comes along that I can plug this into, I probably will. And here's Ape Face in his jet mode. And again, you can see your little guy plugged away in there. And this jet mode in general looks pretty good. It's a little light on top and heavier on the bottom as just part of the overall transformation, but I mean, generally speaking, yeah, this looks like a jet, and the colors blend in pretty well. Overall, I gotta say that this is a pretty good looking alternate mode that uses the Headmaster guy in there. I have to say that one looks pretty good. Now this ape mode or beast mode or rider mode, whatever you want to call it, looks really funky to me. I get the basic idea of how it's an ape. Like, look, he has long arms and he's got short little legs back there. But in general, it just doesn't seem very well done. For one thing, you have these wings sticking out. There's no way to fold these. These are molded into place exactly where they are. They do not move at all. So there's no way to get rid of them to make them less noticeable or, you know, in any way deaden the impact of the fact they're there. And his rear legs, well, they really don't exist. They're just these blobs of black that you can see that go down the body. And the fact that the handle for the weapon mode goes right in between them is the only separation they really have. Otherwise, it's one giant blob of plastic. And then from the back, it's just like, I don't know. Like, what is this? That is just a horrible looking figure from that side. So, generally speaking, like, yeah, okay, I can see he's got an ape head and a body and these big arms and whatever, but all in all, this just really does not do much for me. Now, his weapon mode, again, looks a lot like the jet mode, because you're basically just flipping these wings over to have them face towards the front and pulling down the little handle. In a way, I guess it works, because we do have these openings at the end of the arms that make it look like those could be gun barrels. But, I don't know, overall, there's just something that's not working with it. I wish there was something to kind of fill in these gaps here like if these wings were actually able to fold over and kind of close up that area, or something else. You could say it's almost like a crossbow look if you want to, but without something to connect it along here. It just looks open. Now, generally speaking, though, this part, the headmaster guy, he folds in there, he hides well. I think the rest of the body looks pretty good, but those arms are just kind of funky. I don't know, if I was going to use this as some sort of weapon on a guy, I'd probably just fold him back like jet mode, just pull out the handle and use it that way. Even though there's really not a whole lot to it, and it looks like you're holding a jet, this to me looks more like an actual gun than flipping those out. Now here's the head, and I really like this head. This head has kind of a sound wave kind of look to it, maybe even Galvatron a little bit. That look to it is just something I really like. And these heads, for the most part, they're bulky, they're long when you put the legs back. They're obviously a lot thicker than they would need to be on one of these robots, but generally speaking, these heads actually look pretty good overall. I'd really like to see a lot more of these figures come along, but you can plug these heads into it, like to mix and match and put some of them together. And again, you could take a head like this and stick it in Optimus Prime like we saw, but only the eyes are going to show. So maybe if you had one that had some sort of funky color combination, maybe you wanted to use one with the red eyes to make it look like Optimus Prime was like really pissed off somehow, you might want to use it for that. But since I don't really have anything else to plug it into, it doesn't work with Blaster, it doesn't really work with Optimus Prime, but I like the look of these, and I'm actually looking forward to having some in the future that, unlike the Blaster or Optimus Prime, don't have that hood that comes down and covers up most of the face, that you would actually just plug it in, you'd be able to see the head, and that would be the end of it. So overall, I really do like these, even though I've had some gripes about some of the different looks on them, the way some of the things transform. For the most part, I am pretty happy with these, and especially because they are a lot cheaper. These run, I believe they were $5.99 at Toys R Us, which is pretty cheap. And granted, they are small. You're not buying a huge Transformer, but as a kid, most of the cheap ones were the ones I was buying because I had to spend my own allowance on them. So I really have to say that I would get these even if you don't have any that are going to use the heads at the moment. I wish I actually had a Headmaster sitting around, a classic vintage one. I'd love to compare them. I just don't have one handy at the moment, but that's something I will check out in the future when I dig one out of my storage boxes. But overall, yes. You probably want to buy these. They are pretty cool. Some of the transformations obviously work better than others, but in the end, I'm definitely happy. I'm definitely happy that I got them. I guess there's no real hiding it. I am recording this in my kitchen. I'm filling in for the geek right now. And he is going to be back next week, and I've heard, I know a lot of you, the number one complaint you have is just the video quality on his videos, which is why he is taking some time off right now, because he is actually going to get a brand new camera for recording Formers Friday. So no more using an old digital camera, using it in video mode, having that low quality square format that we have to blur the edges to make it widescreen. He's actually going to have a real bona fide camcorder to use, and in fact it's the old one that I used to use when doing the show. What I use nowadays is tablets. I'm actually recording this on an iPad mini because I really like the camera in it, even though it's got some problems with the brightness contrast right here, probably because this is so shiny on my mask it keeps messing with the brightness levels. But since I'm doing everything here on the tablet, I am actually sending him the camera that I used to use for Formers Fridays. So that's what he's going to be using from now on. So you're going to see a tremendous uptick in the quality, and he's going to be working. Oh, you know what? Here's why it keeps going bright and dark. There is a major storm outside. I have it pretty well insulated for sound in here, but yeah, there's a huge thunderstorm. It looks like we're underwater right now. That's how scary and ominous it is outside. So actually, I better stop filming and unplug all my electronics before everything goes out. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching the show. Don't forget you can leave feedback on our voicemail line. It's area code 217-953-4025. Or on Skype, you can just leave me a voicemail. It's at DirtMound. You can find me on Twitter. It's at PCN_dirt. You can also find us, of course, always at popculturenetwork.com or thatnewtoysmell.com, which is part of the Pop Culture Network. And don't forget to check out my Vines. I do Vine video reviews. You can find those posted as well at ineedcomics.com, part of the Pop Culture Network. I'm also a part of the Click Nation Comic Book Chronicles, although I wasn't there this week because I'm actually out of town, which I'm going to tonight because I filmed this ahead of time. It's actually Thursday. You're watching on Friday. Time travel. It blows my mind. But nonetheless, guys, I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking with us. And I'll talk to you later. Ooh, big lightning.
Dirt, call me.